So one of the worst things ever, guys, is knowing you have a problem but not knowing exactly how to go about it as far as how to fix it. And whenever you have a money problem, you can obviously tell because whenever you get paid, all the money's gone. Whenever you try to save, you spend the money somewhere. And if you try to resolve the issue, for example, by investing, you might not know what to invest into. If you try to budget, you might not know how to budget correctly. So that's why I say it's one of the most annoying things. Knowing you have a problem, but not knowing how to go about it and solve it. And I know what that feels like, trust me. So in this video right here, I'm gonna give you the 4 lessons that I learned about money along the way by reading a ton of books from people that are 10 times smarter than I am, and I'm gonna pass it on to you. And by the way, it's not like I knew nothing about money, like always. I got lessons from my mom and my dad, but I always felt like those lessons were basically incomplete. My mom taught me you need to save money, but never taught me about investing. My dad taught me how to make money, but never taught me how to spend it wisely, if you know what I mean, okay? So all these lessons, although they contain some knowledge in them, they were all incomplete if you ask me. But these 4 lessons I'm gonna give you in this video, these are completed lessons that I learned from people that are, again, 10 times smarter than I am. Now, as always, guys, like this video on top of also subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified, and let's dive into this video right now. Now, the first lesson that I learned is a very simple one, and it says, a part of all I earned is mine to keep. And I said this as if it was a ritual every single time I got paid. A part of all I make is mine to keep. And I always thought like, hey, all the money I make is mine to keep. Until I look at the paycheck and I was like, well, Uncle Sam took his money, Social Security took their money, Medicaid took their money, so I guess, not all of it is mine to keep. And once I got the actual cash on hand, well, now I have to pay this bill, this credit card, this company, this. And before you know, I only had a small amount of money left. And then that money, I had to share it with my partners named Nike and Chipotle at the time, because I spent all my money at those 2 stores, which was a very, very frequent buyer, and I never got anything back for it. I should have bought the stock, not the actual things in the stores, okay? But overall, that's the truth, it was paycheck to paycheck, so all the money I made, none of it really belonged to me, if you know what I mean. So this rule is very simple, and the way you put it into effect is like this. Whenever you get paid, grab 10% and you set that aside for your investing automatically from the top before you pay any bill. And then you grab 20% and you put that aside for paying off debt. And the goal is to try to live below 70% of what you make. So if you're making $1,000 a month, try to live on less than $700 per month, save $100, and then use $200 to pay off your debt. Once you're done with the debt, you save up for emergencies and so on and so on. More to come in this video. But that taught me a very valuable lesson. The minute I started to see my money compound in my wallet and go up and up, and my debts go down and down and down, I started to get very happy. And because the money I was saving was for investing, I knew this money is for making me more money. So when I was tempted to spend the money, I knew that money had a name. It just wasn't random savings, because before when I tried that, I ended up spending the money because, hey, it's just savings, nothing to do with it. Let's spend it on Nike and Chipotle. Now, number 2, the second lesson I learned is, this one is very important because it's basically personal finance is personal. And it's kind of one of those things where you kind of can tell people mind your business, because personal finance is personal. And I learned about this entire idea from Ramit Sethi, the author of I Will Teach You to Be Rich, and also The Psychology of Money, where you have like 20 lessons in there about money. And I love both those books, but the overall idea I got from them is basically personal finance is personal, mind your business, okay? Because overall, when I tell somebody that, hey, this home that I have here, I own it. I paid cash for it. It's mine. It's a terrible investment, but it's what I choose to do with my money to give me more security. I'm not interested in leveraging it or doing this and doing that. So the overall idea is, whatever decisions you want to make financially, you don't have to prove them to anybody else. You just have to make sure they fit your puzzle, because everyone has a different puzzle. Although we try to give everyone, hey, here's what I'm doing, you should do this and you should do that. No, make sure the puzzle that you're building is the one you want to see to completion, okay? It's not somebody else's puzzle that you're basically building. And that's why the course that I offer, linked down below, is a course not for everyone. It's for conservative people that want to get to financial freedom a lot faster than the average person and don't want to take a lot of risks, okay? That's why I made that course. But whenever somebody comes to me and says, Tommy, my goal is I want to make $15,000 a month doing all this real estate stuff, I'm like, yo, this course is not for you. But if what you want to do is basically go along the steps, get there in 10 to 15 years instead of 35 years or so, and be financially free, that course is probably for you. But again, personal finance is personal. You don't need to justify to me why you like buying Starbucks. I don't need to know why you have a new iPhone or anything like that, because overall, personal finance, again, is personal. And everybody's budget is different from everybody else's. I always love to include things in my budget that I care about and I like. So when I started my first budget was terrible. But one of my first budgets that actually worked, I had a little budget in there to buy things on Amazon. Because whenever I bought those things on Amazon, it felt to people like I was wasting money. But spending, for example, 5% of my money on those random things kept me from spending, for example, almost 85 to 90% of my money on anything else, because all that money was being invested. But people never knew that. But that's why I say personal finance is personal. Now, number 3 here, the third lesson is only invest into what you know. You know, investing is a tricky game because the smartest people in investing, the people that know everything, usually don't make as much money as the people that don't know anything. And that sounds weird because in any other field, you would think that the doctor with the most experience would be a lot better than your average Joe, because they would be. But you can have an average Joe like me or you that, you know, we're not like the most proficient investors ever like Warren Buffett, but we could basically outperform them just by doing nothing. Let me explain here. When it comes to brokers and Wall Street, these people make money on activity. That basically means whenever you sell and buy, they make money on that spread. They make money on the transactions. They make money on commissions. So they make their livelihood via activity. And activity costs us, the investor, taxes, and also can make us make a lot of dumb decisions. So the way you kind of get very good at investing is you sit on your butt and you do nothing and you let compound interest do its job. And one of the best investments is basically just buying an S&P 500 index fund and sending money there every time you get paid, once a month or bi-weekly, and letting that money sit there and just compound and compound and compound. Now, if you do that, what would happen is your broker would go broke. Wall Street would go down. We wouldn't need so many people, okay? That's your right idea. And that's how you really get rich when it comes to investing. But overall, the key is invest into what you know. Before I start picking stocks, I learned about it. Before I started, for example, investing into index fund, I learned about it. And there's a great book on this. It's called The Little Book About Common Sense Investing by John C. Bogle. And it tells you exactly why index investing basically works. And that book, it will change your life forever. A lot of people say indexing is the way because whenever you pick stocks, it's a full-time job and you have to be fully committed. And I'm doing it right now. And it's a lot of work. It's like 4 or 6 hours of reading every single day, and you have to love it in order to do it. But for the most part, you can just invest into the indexes and make 11% of your money, sit on your butt, doing absolutely nothing, save money on taxes, and not paying anybody any crazy fees. And to me, that's awesome. Now, number 4, the 2 truths when it comes to getting wealthy. Number 1 is that getting wealthy is just really all about compound interest and allowing money to do its job. I learned this when I read in this book. I think the book was called Stop Acting Rich by Thomas J. Stanley. And he basically said, the average millionaire is 57 years old. So when you have a 20-year-old or a 30-year-old or even a 40-year-old that is like, I'm falling all the way behind. I don't know when am I going to get there? The answer is it takes time. The average millionaire is basically 57 years old. if you're 20, you have 27 years to go. If you're what is my math correctly? No, if you're 20, you have 37 years to go. If you're 30, 27. If you're 40, 17 years to go. Right? Or is it 2017? Okay, my math is off today, guys. I'm sorry. But you get the point. The point is you have a long time to go. And the key is just keep investing and let the money do its job. And one thing is, whenever you're investing, you have to invest during the good times and the bad times. That's how you average out your returns overall. And that's very important. Don't stop buying when people are panicking. There's a very powerful quote by Warren Buffett. And he says basically, be scared when others are not scared, and be not scared when others are scared. Okay, I butchered it completely, but you get the point. Okay, just keep going and follow the road. Now, the second truth when it comes to getting wealthy and getting rich is, getting rich to me used to be having this dollar amount in my account, and it stopped being that a long time ago. What being rich to me is basically is having more money coming in passively than you have in your expenses. So if your expenses are just $1,000 and you have $1,500 coming in passively, you're wealthy because you don't need to work, you don't need to do anything, and that money comes in passively. And obviously, one of the best ways to get there faster is to need less money for your expenses. Because again, if you have a paid off house, what does that mean? You no longer have to pay shelter costs anymore. If you have no debt, what does that mean? You don't have to have any cash towards paying off debt anymore. If you have an emergency fund, you can basically not worry about losing your job because you have time to figure it out. And if you have passive income and you have at least 20 to 50% more than you need, what happens is, even if the market goes down, you still have enough to cover all of your expenses. To me, that's what true wealth is. I don't need 10 million, $10 billion to be wealthy. I just need to have that much money coming in to take care of all the expenses. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not gonna continue to work and put in more work, because work is the fruit, right? So you gotta work, and I love my job and I'm gonna keep doing it, but that's the idea. So you don't need 1 million or 2 million or 3 million. You just need to know exactly how much you need to say, hey, this is enough. If I get this, I'm good to go. All right, guys? Now, those right there are the 4 lessons when it comes to money that I learned along the way. And I hope passing it on to you, the completed version of them, they can basically change your entire life as far as financially, okay? Now, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, I want you to comment down below, mind your business, okay? Because to me, that's so important when it comes to personal finances. It's basically mind your business. Comment down below, mind your business, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, along with your comment, so this way I know you're actually a real person. And it's not offensive, but it's kind of to say, like, when it comes to personal finance, it really is personal. And that's why when I talk to so many people, I always say, hey, you don't need to justify to me why you go to Starbucks, why you bought a new purse, why you bought this. We just need to know exactly if you can afford it or if you can't afford it. And if you can, you can continue to do it. If you can't, you might have to sacrifice a little bit until you're actually able to do what you want to do. That's the idea. But personal finance is personal. Guys, thanks for watching. As always, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you're notified. On top of that, follow me on Instagram at TommyBryson. Up here is another video. Over here is my face. Please subscribe. And as always, long-term team officially out. Don't know if you could tell, but I don't have contacts on, so this whole video, I couldn't even see you guys. That's crazy.